first one is, you're not charging enough. Yeah, who thinks that they're not charging enough? Yeah, here's some people, they're honest. Yeah, because I think a lot of you are not charging enough. So what very often happens is you don't know how to calculate your cost. Yeah, that's why you're here. Nobody tells you these things, do they? That's the reality of it. That gives me a job. Yeah, so thank you very much for reading it. Yeah, but basically, you just kind of pick a number. This is one of the problems a lot of people find with when you start selling on Etsy or when you start like doing your website. A big issue is that, oh gosh, then all of a sudden you need to put a price on that you can't sort of, yeah, one day charge this and one day charge that. A lot of people find that a big problem actually when they are going to start selling online. Maybe you know your cost and you do that calculation, you've seen somewhere that magic kind of formula and slight different variations of that. You've identified your retail price, but you don't actually look at what other people are charging. Yeah, and you don't really charge what your prices or your product is worth. Yeah, so for example, I had my wedding ring commissioned a couple of years ago now, and when we finally got talking, I knew the lady who did it. When we finally got talking about the money it would cost, the price she gave me was actually half of what I was expecting it to be. It's really interesting this, because I didn't walk around and think, yes, I've got a bargain. No, I thought like, oh, shoot, yeah, I've got a cheap wedding ring. Which, let me tell you, is not a great feeling. Yeah? So again, yeah, be very aware of that. What is your product worth for your client? Are you, yeah? Especially I see, like, for example, unique products. A lot of people providing unique products. If there's only one of those in the world, you get a premium. Yeah? You want to keep your products affordable. Yeah? You know what you are making a year. You know where you're living. Yeah? And you want to keep it simple, yeah, and you don't just want to sell to rich people. A lot of people are worried like, oh, people from around here or my friends wouldn't be able to afford that. Yeah? The thing is, again, if you're looking at a lot of the research, especially in crafts, is that something like 80% of crafts are being bought by women between 55 and 65 on an income of around £58,000. That's not you and me. So really think about that. The other thing is here, is if your work is very similar to what's already available on the high street. I'm especially looking here at stationery, I'm looking at functional ceramics, I'm thinking about cushions. Yeah? But for example, I worked last year with a very well-known ceramicist, and she makes beautiful porcelain jugs. And I was working with her on her strategy and her business. And basically, she was charging around 80 quid for her beautiful jugs right now. Functional ceramics have a very specific price level. Yeah, people expect to pay a certain amount of money with it. The thing is that I had seen something very similar in Heels a week before for about 25 quid. And I couldn't see the difference. Not really. Like when I went up close, yes I could, but like most of the time I couldn't. And I said, like, that's a problem. If you are heading straight on against something that's already out there, you will always lose that. Because you cannot compete on cost. That's not what you're competing on. You're competing on something that's unique, something that's different. That it is you who made that. The story, the branding, the whole package around it. Yeah? Then I started working with her, and I said, we talked a bit more and what she really loved doing and the kind of clients, and she really liked to do bigger work and bigger kind of projects. She's now indeed creating jugs that are that big. They're not functional, yeah, kind of milk jugs that you put in the kitchen anymore, but now they become pieces where florists can put, yeah, really great stunning pieces with, for example. Yeah, and she's now selling in a very different market, a lot more interior designers, a lot more kind of hotel lobbies, that kind of places, and she's charging a lot more, as in £1,000 plus. Completely changed the business from things that were under £100, she's now really gone to like £1,000 or more. Yeah, so really start to think about that. The other thing is you're not very confident. Yeah, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't value yourself, then who is going to fail? Yes, be very aware of that. The second one, of course, is you charge too much. Yeah, that's the opposite of course, not charging enough. And in many ways, it's very similar. Again, you don't really know, and you pick a number, and you look at what the big boys charge, and you think, oh, well, can't I charge that? And of course, again, it doesn't work. Or, the other thing, you've just started to sell to retailers, you need to add that commission, and all of a sudden, your products need to be at the same price level. Therefore, your products become very expensive. Or, you are producing products or services that are common and really easily available, and therefore there's a lot of competition, and therefore prices being pushed down, and you are relatively too expensive. So for example, if there's some designers who work as freelance designers, there's a going freelance rate for a junior or medium rate or things like that. You haven't got an awful lot to say about it if you've got generic design skills. If you've got something really specific, people are prepared to pay more for it. But if you're fairly generic and, yeah, for you, 5 other people who can do that job, then people will be looking at that hourly rate. And the other thing is your work isn't worth it yet. You haven't got a reputation, yeah? Like because it is Felicity, yeah, therefore she can charge £32,000. If you would do the same, good luck to you, yeah? If you've got a big mouth, it might work, it might get you some attention, but the reality is, of course, you haven't got that reputation yet. You're not as refined, you're not as known, and maybe the other thing here, what I very often find, is that you're not selling in the right places. The reality is that 99% of the population is just not interested in what you do. Nothing personal, but you need to go out and find people who are interested in what you do. So I'm going to be the big believer in your niche. Yeah? What are you really focused on? What is your strength? The other one, yeah, of the mistakes is dropping your price to attract clients. Anybody here who's done that? People who've been going for a while, yeah, some of you might not have gone. But you're thinking, oh gosh, nobody's buying, let's drop the price. So you do a lot of discounts. Yeah, when you send an email to people, you do a lot of discount offers. But the reality is, you still don't sell anything. And crickets. Yeah, let's be honest about it. You get resentful. And if somebody buys something, you're really pissed off like I've been there, I know. I can hear by the laughs that I think that some people will know what's going on there. The thing is, you get worried because you're not selling enough. And you think that that is because of the price, because you're not confident enough, you're worried about that. And what is your knee-jerk reaction is you lower the price. But the problem isn't the price. The problem is that you're not doing enough marketing to the right people on the right places. My advice, when it comes to time management, is that you spend about 40% of your time on creating and production in a year, 40% on marketing. Remember what I was doing earlier on? When I talked about the billable hours, and I said like only 40% of your time is around creativity and production. That's coming back here now. What I very often see, people who have got a turnover of less than £10,000, I very often see that they're making 80 or 90% of their time. That's not a good sign. Because the thing is that you need to spend about half of your time in the first 3 years of your business on going out there to the right people, finding out who is interested in what you do. You need to have the marketing to back that up. And then if you do it consistently for a couple of years, then life starts to become a lot more easy. So you need to do your marketing. It's nothing to do with your price. So the key lesson here, pricing, yes, is about numbers, as we saw in that first part of the 7 steps, but really, it's a lot more to do with marketing, especially with positioning yourself. Where do you want to be? Yeah. It's about who your clients are. Do you really understand who they are, why they buy, when they buy? It's a very clear seasons as well. And you need to be very aware of what's the message of your price. Are you saying, yeah, you're cheap anyway? Because the thing is, if you're too cheap, people will think there's something wrong with you. So for example, when I worked again at Chelsea Craftswear, I always had a group of Dutch milliners coming over. And every year I would say to them, guys, double your prices. And they were like, no, 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 no. I said, double your prices, because the problem is you will not sell more, because nobody in the UK will believe that that is a handmade product. Because basically in Holland, yeah, living costs are a lot lower than, for example, in London, yeah, and therefore they could charge those prices. But also within the Dutch market, that was the going rate. But the going rate for hats in London is very different than the going rate for hats in Amsterdam. Yeah, so again, be very aware of that. I recently had a lady, absolute stunning work, beautiful hand-woven things for over the bed. And they were at like £125. And I said, like, hang on a minute, that's not right. And she said, yeah. I said, are they hand-woven? She said, yeah. I said, A, you're not selling to retail, because at that price, with £125, how much would she get? Remember the formula? That's enough. For 125 blanket, she would only get 50 quid. And I knew that that definitely wasn't going to be it. But the other thing that I really noticed was £125 for a hand-woven blanket, to me, was like, that can't be done. That is somebody who hasn't included in the salary, because it just is not possible. Yeah? So that's an amateur. Bang. Yeah? That's the kind of thinking that a professional will look at if you charge too little. Because they know what you should be charging. So you need to know what you should be charging. Yeah? And are you doing enough marketing? If you're not selling enough, really start to work on who your clients are. Really get to understand when do they buy, where do they buy, and how do they buy. Last one here is too little variety in price levels. So it's all relative. Yeah? If you have a variety of prices, then the average price is less expensive. What I mean with that is, next time you go to a restaurant, have a look at the menu. What's really interesting, very often, is looking at 3 different price levels. What you will see with the main menu is that, for example, there will be 2 or 3 meals at around £10, a couple of them around £15, and then a couple of them around £22. By having the average one, yeah, and then having the high one, by having the high one, it makes the middle one the lower one, whatever it is. Yeah? And therefore, more people go for that middle one. Yeah? So again, start to think about that. The other thing is you need some row pieces in your collection. You need to get some pieces where people kind of stop. Yeah? This is the pieces that indeed a gallery or a shop will put in a shop in there. This is what gets Instagram completely mental. Yeah? Those are the pieces. Really show off. The purpose of those row pieces is not necessarily to sell, but to get attention, to get profile, to get press, and to show really how ambitious you are and what you can really do. Go big and bold, and put a big price on it, because that's, yeah, you don't in a way want to really sell. Have some fun with it, but really show what you can do. But you also need some bread and butter pieces, because we all need to live. Yeah, a bit more, yeah, a bit not so wacky and quirky and bizarre. Yeah? But in the wow pieces, you can really show who you are and create your brand. And then the bread and butter pieces are a bit more, yeah, for the normal people. I'm a big fan of collections. Yeah, very often people just create too many products, put it all on there, but they're ready. Picture here, picture there. It works a lot better than actually working in collections, launching a collection at a time that is suitable for the client, for trade, that will very likely be January or February, or indeed end of August, the first week of September. That's the time of the year when most people buy, especially if you're working in fashion, very, very strict. Fashion buyers, on average, something like 80%, they only buy in those 2 or 3 weeks, yeah, of the year.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
So it's basically during the time when none of fashion is.
Okay.
Yeah, because that gives you, if you don't know in your area when the trade buyers are buying, look at when the main trade shows are. Yeah, within gift wear, it's a bit funny, homeware, it's sort of in January. Yeah, and then it's, and the last 2-3 days in August, and then the first week of September, very likely. Most of Christmas has been bought by in September. So that's where you need to buy it. Very important to have collections, because again, retailers are a lot more likely to buy a collection because that shows a brand, that shows a story. Yeah? And then you can make a bit of other room around it, a bit more momentum. yeah, and therefore you will do your marketing. Putting one product out in the market, yeah, nobody's going to be interested in that. But if you go, yeah, twice a year, have a bit of energy in that time of the year, that is what works. If you've got a lot of lower end products, yeah, then you need to sell an awful lot to actually cover your costs and your salary. And again, we will see an exercise in a minute, especially if you're doing stationery, product-based products, yeah, you need to very much watch out for that one. If there's extra features, then it's more expensive. So again, are you emphasizing, for example, using gold or using handmade? That it is a unique piece, things like that. Are you charging indeed enough? I very often see pieces, like I would, as a general rule, I would not do a unique piece or commission under £500. There's a bit of a broad rule, but like we very often will have various conversations with people. Is that included in the time? Yeah? Are you charging for that indirectly? But also again, what is it worth for the client? Because basically, if there's a unique piece, there's only one of that in the world, therefore the value goes up. So charge what you're worth. It's very rare to have a very broad range of price levels. So it's very rare to have both £5 and £5,000. It is possible, but that is fairly rare. So very often we sit in clusters together. So basically what I'm saying here is turn your pricing topsy-turvy. It's very likely that so far you sort of have been looking at your costs and then created the price. What I'm actually saying is, what is the price that your clients are prepared to pay? And then work backwards. And then if you can create something at the right cost price, by dividing it by 2 and then dividing it again by 2, or by 3 first and then by 2, what does it cost you? Yeah, so it's turning that complete upside down. What would £50 product look like in your business? Yeah? Or what about £100? Start to think a lot more like that. As an example, I worked with a client last year and she does craft kits. So craft kits are basically boxes with a project that a child is supposed to be able to do in 2 or 3 hours by themselves. Now it happens like that, I've got 2 daughters like that, it always ends up me finishing the sewing, and I'm not very good at sewing, but that's another problem. Anyway, so basically she had been trying to sell to John Lewis for more than a year. And John Lewis said the retail price has to come in below £20, otherwise people are not going to pay for that. Again, it's sort of a gift product type of thing. Therefore, the price is very much pushed down, it's a psychological thing. Yes, so, and John Lewis knows that market, it needs to be under £20. So again, think back, that means that she probably gets around £8, which means that it can only cost 4 quid to produce one. Yeah, again, really numbers like that. She's been really working very hard on that. Couldn't make it work, very frustrated with it. I said unto her, what would it be if, like instead of £20, are you really focusing on that? What could a product look like that would be £2 in your business? And she said, colouring in, typey origami kind of thing. She didn't get very excited about it. Then I said to her, what would a product look like in your business that's 10 times your average price? So it would be £200. And she went like, ooh! And basically, she very quickly came up with a couple of ideas. So one of them was indeed creating craft boxes for women and include really fabulous materials in there and really make it like a fabulous kit, 200 quid worth of stuff. Yeah, wouldn't we all like to get something like that for a special occasion? The other thing she was thinking about was indeed creating, for example, kind of semi-personalized boxes for a wedding. So for example, around a wedding theme, could use 6 or 10 or something like that. And then basically it could be with the names of the bride and the bridegroom and stuff like that. And then our market would be a lot more events organizers or brides who then wouldn't buy 1, but they would buy 10 for all the children that come to the wedding. So see how just thinking about your pricing, not by increasing 5 or 10%, but actually what would it look like if it's 10 times as much or 10 times as little? How can you use that creatively? More than your clients. Okay, so the 3 key issues when you start to sell to galleries and shops. So that's of course what we're talking about here. So as we've seen, your work increases in price. Actually, it doubles in price. So basically what happens is if you're only selling to consumers, let's say this is your cost price, and you double it, yeah, and that's what you sell it for. So if you then go to a shop, to a event or on your website, that's basically what you do. The problem is that if you go to a retailer, yeah, this is your cost price. You kind of need to double to cover your cost. Yeah, this is not baking it in, but again, you want to sell all your products, etc., etc. Yeah, so the £5 become £10. That's what you sell it at. Then that retailer will sell it at this level or at that level. Yeah, what means that you also need to sell it at that level or at that level. You can sell it a little bit less, because especially again, if you're selling online, this is basically the postage and packaging. So in the end, you're probably very likely to be send it anyway. Yeah? But what you need to be very aware of course, is that you used to sell it here, but now you're selling to retailer, you have to sell it in that. That makes you all of a sudden very expensive. Yeah? Do not do the stupid mistake and sell it at this price to a retailer and sell it at this price also to the consumer at the same time. That pisses people off. Yeah, excuse my language, but I see it quite often. I get galleries and shops really saying like, what are these people on? Yeah, they will block you straight away. Credibility gone. Yeah, don't do that. But like for example, I was talking last week, I was mentoring somebody who had like something like a £20,000 turnover, of which 15,000 were through commissions, and she sold like 3,000 or 4,000 through online, but she only had £500 in retail. And I said straight away, what is your plan for the future? Do you want to sell to retail? She said, no, I think it's more like that I ought to. It's good to be seen in those shops, isn't it? I said, yeah, but do you realize by only gaining that £500, she could drop her prices slightly and increase her profit margin by not selling to retail, but purely focusing on her commissions because of this. And that's very often the challenge in the beginning. Either do retail properly or don't do it. But if you, on a £20,000 turnover, only get £500 from retail, you're doing a lot of extra increases, yeah, a big profit margin change, but that might actually really price out of the market.
So, what I want to ask is, like, because I've had this problem, because I started to sell to public first, and then I wanted to also go in the retail, and in the beginning I just managed to do a seller return, and of course, like, I didn't have a retail price, so basically the shop gets some sort of commission from me, but of course I just sort of adjust the price, because my price on the website is the price that covers my all my expenses and for myself. So of course I don't have a retail price. So the shop.
But at home, that the prices that if I would go to your retailer or I would go on your website, if a retailer finds out that you're charging a lot less, there can be a variety.
No, I know that, but what I want to say something else is the fact that I've spoken with some buyers and they told me that usually it's really difficult that shops can onboard you straight away. They want. I spoke with someone from not on our street, for example, that she was a buyer for Southbridge, and she told me that basically usually when you're a new designer, they want you to approach them at least 3-4 times because they want to. They want to see how you go through season and not maybe taking on board someone that maybe is not able to cover the cost for the next season and you're gonna stop your business. So the problem.
It's very rare because you were asking about John Lewis, you're talking salvages. I will be very, very surprised if any of those big boys will take you on for 3 to 5 years of your business. Any business now will want to know, unless you've got already at least 20 stock hits. It will be very surprising if those big department stores will come to you. Don't worry about that. That's not your goal right now. Because you cannot deliver. You haven't got the cash flow. There are far too many issues with it.
Yeah, but I think it's just do the same with the independent boutique. I don't think they also will take you straight away.
It depends a bit on, again, make sure that you know who your clients are. Some boutiques, some galleries really love new blood, yeah, because that's what brings in new stuff. So be very aware, and again, some of them can teach you a couple of things, yeah, they will be very willing to help you with that. But the bigger and the more commercial they are, yeah, the more that they expect you to have this sorted out. And it's not just about the costing and pricing, but also about can you do the quantities? Can you indeed, yeah, provide, for example, even with Northern High School, you do quite a bit of business with them, would you be able to create 1,000 of what you do now? It's one thing, you making 50 or 10, but could you scale up? Many of you wouldn't be able to scale up for loads of different reasons. Money can be one part of it, but also just growing in that way, you're not used to it. Yeah? Okay. I'll probably, I don't know what the question was, but I'll probably think in the next 10 minutes that question might be answered here.